Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Meticulous Talks on December 7th. I am Cursed Chords.
And I'm Hiprock. Welcome to the new year.
Indeed, welcome to 2023. And happy holidays to all, belated. Hope your holidays were fun and relaxing.
Mine were pretty relaxing, I would say that. Had a good time chilling home, resting from work.
Did you get a lot of snow?
No, it all melted away right like before the holidays. It's so sad.
Oh, shoot, eh? I thought, like, you were in the neighborhood where that big blizzard went through.
Yeah, we had -10 at one point, which was before Christmas. And my area here is like really, really windy where I live because there's an airfield nearby.
hmm
And it was like an experience walking outside because the wind would just blow you away. Like it's actually hard to walk, and it's also like a really really cold wind. In a weird way, I enjoyed it. It's like it's the kind of enjoyment you get out of a roller coaster.
Right.
It's it was good, but it was only here for a couple of days, and then it all melted.
Right.
Very sad.
It all melted. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, we had some freeze.
Hopefully, upcoming months will be colder.
Should be. Should be. Yeah, we had freezing rain out here actually, which made driving a bit of a challenge. But other than that,
I don't drive, so not a problem for me.
yeah, yeah,
And the public transport here was like not affected at all. Like there's zero difference from how it worked before to how it worked like during blizzard and stuff.
all right, that's good.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So for today's stream, we're still kind of, I guess, wrapping up some of the content from the end of last year. Would have normally had this stream, well, soon after Prize Wheel came out, which I guess is. Um, we are not in the fond memories meta anymore, technically. And so we should look back at the ratings we gave. I guess it's more than a year ago now, because it was like December of last year when Fond Memories came out,
Mhm.
or December of 2020 rather. Um, and yeah, see what we got right, what we got wrong. Normally, I would have gone through the tournament results and made a spreadsheet of all the what got finished where in which decks, so I'd have some evidence to back up my claims of what the true ratings were per se. I'm using air quotes right now. Um, but in this case, I just kind of looked over the past year's results and kind of went based on feel.
Yeah, makes sense.
And the same will go here. So I'm just going to open up the spreadsheet here. I know whenever we open up the spreadsheet, the stream tends to take longer than we think it's going to. So
Yeah, it's
I'm going to
the spreadsheet
try.
is cursed.
Yeah, I'm going to try to keep one eye on the clock and keep things relatively well contained and moving along as we go here. And obviously, when it's a rating that we got right, there's no need to talk much about it.
Yeah.
So starting off at the mains, there's a couple of minor things here. I have cadence at 5. That's probably wrong. I think it was a 4. No, 4. I think.
It's 3.5.
Yeah.
Gonna
So
jump onto the pages train.
yeah. So actually, let me first start by setting the context of this set, because it's easy to in the world that we're now in it's easy to look out and see only Fluttershy Blue, and forget about all that came before. Because in the early parts of this year, it was there was a lot of other stuff around.
Yep.
Cadence Blue has been around for the whole year. Um, um, Gallus Control at the very beginning looked incredibly strong. There was orange, pink. Bugle had a deck that looked like it was going to go places with that. Um, Cheese was running Una pink control for a couple of tournaments and did kind of okay-ish with it. See if there's anything else that jumps out of my mind. Well, there was like I don't think anyone ever actually ran tournaments with the stuff that got infiltration orders banned. But there was that. Oh, and there was Farm too. Blue Pink
Yep.
Farm looked good at the start as well. So those are all the things to sort of not forget as we go through these. And to that matter, I think we undervalued Yellow Luna just a little bit. Maybe Pages was right at the 2.5.
Perhaps.
So, oopsies, I have my notes labeled wrong here. Into the blue cards. Most of these are pretty right. I think we undervalued property damage actually.
Yeah. So property damage is probably like a free because it did see play here and there.
Yeah. Basically in any not in blue yellow, obviously, but in blue pink all over, it was kind of the preferred way to deal with resources. And I should probably say is in this case. It's not was, it's is.
So what about Gallus at free, Cursed? I have never seen that card.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a 3. Let's see. Never seen is a 1. So, yeah.
Yeah. So even my 2 is a bit high.
No, well, being off by 1 is is okay. Being off by 2 or more is kind of where we need to own up to it. And Grandpa's is already asking you about the entry cycle.
Yeah, I was about to get to that. we're gonna touch into the entry cycle. Although, I mean, since you mentioned it, so yeah, it's not a 1. It's probably a free, right? Would you say it's a free?
3, yes, it is. It is occasionally used, not always, but occasionally used even in the Fluttershy Blue deck. So, yeah.
Yeah, same goes for a lot of the cards from the cycle, right? But I mean, it's easy to remember blue and yellow because that's the decks we've seen recently. But
I 100%. You may believe that, Grandpa's, but there are plenty of entrants even from the Invitational that didn't use it in Fluttershy. It may be correct, perhaps, but the numbers don't bear it out as 100% implementation.
Yeah, it feels. Well, it'd be nice to have like actual data, you know.
Yeah.
We didn't have time to prepare for that, but at some point it'd be cool to like see, oh, this showed up in this percentage of the decks.
Yeah, let me switch over to my other window here, and even okay. So I'm looking at the invitational decks. So obviously, Cheese and You ran the same version. Yeah. So for example, Ivory's implementation of Stunning Wonder Blue doesn't have ruffled pages in it. Pretty sure Smithers is okay. Smithers does. Eminently's doesn't. So okay, admittedly, it's well, like I said, some do, some don't, and those guys aren't bad deck builders by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with 3, but
It's it
I
may
mean
be the
it's
high end of three.
3.5. Yeah, 3.5.
3.5. Yeah, sure.
But I mean, in my heart, it will always be 1.
Well, this isn't the only entry
Yeah,
cycle
well,
card that we'll be getting to. Admittedly, they weren't all at that level, mainly due to the way the colors shook out.
there's also Gigi. Have we seen Gigi at all?
Yes, it was in. It's been in Blue Farm for sure. I think
Oh yeah.
does Cadence use it? I need to look again. See if Cadence uses it. Okay, it doesn't.
Hmm.
Fair enough. So I guess that doesn't make it a 4.
I think a 3
Yeah.
or
Now, although
2.5.
admittedly, like Farm did win an online con early. The blue pink Farm. Oh, actually, that deck didn't have GG in it. Okay, yeah. So 3, I guess.
Or 2.
I feel like it's been. Eh.
I don't really remember seeing that card that much.
Yeah, and
It's
the
like
the
I think
deck.
like enough to be
Oh,
experimented with. Is
wait a second.
fair.
Wait a second. What about Thorax Blue? Was top 2. I know it wasn't that deck either. Okay, so yeah, I guess we were a little bit overly optimistic on that one.
Even I was.
It was GG's 3 power, isn't she? That's probably why. Yeah, because she's undercosted.
Oh yeah. You want to move
Right,
on to
that's what
orange?
I'm thinking about. It's all over the place in adventure.
Ah,
Yeah, there we go.
I
Yeah,
don't think there's much else to talk about in blue
yeah.
or
Um,
regular cards anyway.
yeah. As far as orange goes, I guess first thing to say is Andy didn't really go anywhere. Like,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
well,
Well,
seen it at some places.
so like Bugle had that deck, Shock Troops,
Hmm.
that like looked like it was gonna set the meta on fire early, but he didn't actually run it that often in tournaments and didn't actually do that well with it. He had pretty middling finishes generally, like 6th or 5th kinda, in the 2 times that he used it. So like used, but Bonbon there, for example, isn't going to doesn't deserve a 4. Uh, Unfortunately, might even only be a 2.
Yeah, I guess
Um,
Smolder is in a similar position.
yeah, pretty much. A Smolder is actually a 1, I think. I don't think even that deck used it. Now, I'm the guy who was wrong about the entry cycle here. I don't think I've ever seen Globetrotter used.
No,
So point to you there. It is in fact a 1.
but I
Um,
think that might be because the color was not as popular. I guess, although
well, so speaking of, I think Big Hoof actually probably deserves more than high end of 3 because Orange Farm came back, was a thing at Continentals. Certainly
yeah,
looks strong enough. And Big Hoof was
yeah, I would agree with that.
a big part of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like in Orange. Well, yeah, it came back in farm. It had a small amount in that sort of orange pink thing. Uh, Chaos control list from Continentals was orange pink as well, right? I'll make sure about that before I say that. Yes, it was orange pink. But didn't actually use any orange on memories cards.
I mean, I don't feel like Chaos Control really needs a big hoof anyway.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just talking about orange in general.
Orange in general.
For that. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
ultimately not a great set for most of the orange fun memories cards, the monocolor ones at least.
Heatwave was also nerfed this year, right?
Was it this year?
Was it last or this year?
It
It
was
feels like it was this year.
because it was banned in the same cycle as Legacy or Legacy Elite, right? Or as
Uh,
that purple one.
yeah, that makes sense. But we got like the new one later, right?
Hmm.
It might have been with this set. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, yeah. The new one came with the set, I think.
All right.
Yeah. Moving
Pink.
on to pink. Um. So I think we're pretty correct on DJ at 3-ish. She was in some of the control decks early, then kind of faded out.
Okay, what's happening with Gunter?
Gunter is not a 4.
It's a one, right? I've never seen that guy.
Um, it
Was
like
it? Were we thinking of living till last combo?
we might have been thinking of that. So I I know I'm going to be doing this a lot over Steam. I feel like very early it got used a little bit. But I have to be careful here. Like there was a little bit of living. Wait. It wasn't called living to laugh. Still, it was like for this whole meta, it was still partying. Let me look at early iterations of Cadence, maybe. No,
There's a standing gentleman's agreement not to run it.
I see. Well,
It was
no.
just a screw up with our ratings, right?
um,
They rated that card high. Let's not run it.
well, yeah. The results numbers from this year definitely don't bear out that card being a 4. I I had this kind of this memory of seeing a deck with it once upon a time. Maybe it's adventure poking at my memories again. You might be right on the being a 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think even seeing it once upon a time is still closer to one than two.
Hmm. Now Jorno is much higher than a 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, in a way similar to whole pages again from the early days of the meta, uh, from Gallus and from Cadence and from even the farm deck. I think Seleno Pink.
Yeah, I
Jorno
think
was the preferred pink entry.
yeah. I mean, three, I think, is a fair rating.
I think 3 is a fair rating. Yeah. But moving through. Pinkie Pie is a 1. I don't think I've ever seen that card get used.
I mean, a lot of these cards are. I
Yeah.
don't think any other pink cards really made significant appearance.
That's true. Yeah, Pink Eager wasn't a thing really, so Silverstream off the table. We'll get to Eager in the other color though. Um, yeah, you're kind of right. Rest just all Did Unipink run picky? Good question, Grandpa's. Let me see. Let's see. The most successful he had with it was at BabsCon. Did he? No, that reckless endangerment was not there. What about the online con? No. No, Unipink, at least not in any recorded deck list, never had reckless endangerment in it. Okay.
Purple?
Purple. Now purple's hard. Because we have to admit, purple still wasn't really anywhere in this meta.
No, it didn't like. Maybe a Flurry Heart is like a staple card in purple, right?
Yeah. So,
But because purple doesn't really see play, it's not a 4.
admittedly, right at the end, like, Grandpa's is playing the Celestia deck in Invitationals, and it looks good-ish, right? I've only seen him play it like maybe 2 or 3 times, admittedly in high-level situations, and admittedly he's gone far in the tournament with it. I don't know how much weight to assign to that. How much that makes up for the fact that over the course of the whole rest of the meta, purple wasn't really anywhere.
Yeah. But I mean, it didn't really run any of the purple cards on Flurry Heart.
Yes. Well,
So
and some events. Yeah. When it comes to the
yeah,
friends, yeah,
well, this is friends, so
not save Flurry Heart.
so like I think one's across the board here quite fair. At least I gave one. I didn't give Spike. What does even Spike do?
It's the one that
Oh, it's
deals flip cards.
why did I give this 3?
I mean, we all did.
Yeah,
I
but
think.
why?
Try to remember our logic from way back in the day. Was it?
I mean, this is cost efficient.
It is.
It's only one, but
I don't think we were arguing about Purple Farm.
that would be interesting to. Were we maybe considering the troublemaker something? Not farm, but like I don't know. But it's an interesting outlier, right? For us to give 3 to this card. And it doesn't seem all that impressive. And we knew that purple was not in a good place at that point. So.
Yeah. I mean, we knew it well. It was getting Flurry Heart, which is still a great card.
We did rate it highly, which
as well as some pretty good purple events, which again we'll get to.
Will be interesting too. We should not right now, but like after the stream, maybe go back and see our discussion on Spike. I'm curious.
Oh sure, okay. I'll make a note of that.
But otherwise, like I think all of these. Well, you gave 3 to Rex as well.
Well, I was bullish on the entry in general. Was I thinking about Dragon Tribal being really good? Like I know
when you have Professor Twy, why would you run this card? Like purple generally, unless you're aggro purple, which I know you really like.
I do really like.
I mean, you don't really care that much about power, right?
Well, three rec is an
yeah, free rec is pretty big.
Yeah.
I guess not. Like I think Rex would be more like. If you're primary purple, you're not running purple entry anyway, because your main is purple. Likely, right? Or if you're running purple, you're probably running like Professor Twy.
Right.
If you're like off-color purple, you're probably running Rex because it's an easier rec, right?
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
just, I guess, not enough decks splashed into purple because purple
Off.
didn't.
Yeah. Off-color purple was never a thing.
Yeah.
Really. So I'll leave that note to go back and think about Spike. As we move on to the other color that was unfortunately nowhere this set, with some exceptions. White was absolutely a secondary color. I think citrine was the primary entry for alicorns, or like the deck that ran Royal
Yeah.
Family, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was absolutely a thing. I think enough to bump it up to a 3.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Other than that, I think the rest of these are all 1s.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I gave 3 to Sandbar. Let's see. Oh, it's a resource reviver. Why did I give it a 3?
Were we
You think?
actually bullish on hats, or trying to be bullish on
Maybe,
hats?
maybe, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm also thinking. Like, perhaps it's the hats.
Like, pro tip: never be bullish on hats. Um,
You know what? If you don't count on hats every time, just don't believe in it, you'll be only wrong once. You know? Because if the hats will actually be good at some point, that's the only time you're gonna be wrong. Instead of
uh,
hoping on hats every time and being wrong every time.
it's fair call. It's fair argument. The other obvious outlier was me 4 on Petiole. I
I mean, even I gave it a 3, which I mean, we did believe in Thorax, maybe?
yeah. Uh, Changeling Synergy and Thorax. Admittedly, Changelings are having their time in Adventure just now. But not in Core. Actually, like, I am a little bit surprised the extent to which Thorax has just cleared out for Fluttershy in Core. Like, Thorax had a number of successful decks. There's Thorax Blue, there was Thorax Orange,
Yeah.
Thorax Purple a little bit off on the side, but no, Thorax is just nowhere in Core right now.
Yeah. Yellow?
Yellow, speaking of.
So yeah. So
The
I think none of these cards in play except, well, yeah, in core, none of them, I think, right?
what? Featherweight.
Oh,
Featherweight is like a 5 almost.
okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, that one is the only one.
Yeah. Yeah, I legitimately think Featherweight might be a 5.
I mean, I maybe I again value 5 too much, but like, it's not really meta breaking card.
No, it's hard to pick cards in that Fluttershy deck, as has been said several times.
Like, cards that define top decks. By the way, it doesn't define, yeah, anything else. Supports, sure.
Sure.
Maybe there should be like a 6. It's meta grade.
Well, 6 would
Meta
be
breaking.
the cards that get banned. Yeah.
No, that's 7.
Oh, geez. Okay.
We're gonna add. We're gonna inflate the ratings.
As a note, the Yona there did see play in the Yuna control deck, so maybe not a 1. Depending on how highly you rate that deck, could be a 2 or a 2.5 or something.
What about the entry? I gave it a 1. You gave it a 3.
what is it? Arista?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So so it didn't see any play because yellow was always a primary color.
Yeah, and I mean, yellow historically had really good entry in the past as well.
Mhm.
But then again, so did pink, and pink entry did see play, I think.
Yes, it did.
Hmm. Mysteries of deck building.
Yeah, well, so like yellow, yellow, blue was the primary pairing of this.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the main.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say like yeah, it's yellow blue, and if you compare the mains available in blue versus the mains available in yellow, on the purposes of aggro, yellow's got him beat right now.
I just the Fluttershy is so easy to flip. You never really
Yeah.
care about rec, I think. And there are like a bunch of ways to get yellow anyway. More yellow if you need to.
Yeah. In fact, compared to most colors, yellow mains are just better for aggro right now. So yeah, and given that yellow is not a thing, well, outside of that
So
small little experiment with Yuna, yellow's not a thing inside of aggro.
I'm kind of circling back on what you said earlier. Like we pretty much did not see Thorax.
Yeah.
I think if we did, Arista would see more play. It's a changeling and it's an entry, and like the Thorax, it's kind of hard to flip early compared to like Fluttershy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll make total sense in there, right?
It doesn't have 2 or less printed power, but
Yeah, I guess
that's the
that's
only
true.
mark against it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's a pretty big one. Eh.
Anyway, you were right. I was wrong. Oh.
50% of the time, right every time. All right, multicolor cards, right?
Well, yes, multicolor cards. And in large part, some of these can just be broken down by which multicolor pairings
See, so play at all.
saw play and which one didn't. Yeah. Um. So I had this, and again, we can run through a lot of these, like all the purple ones. Oh well, purple didn't exist, wasn't a thing. Like that, my 4 on Daybreaker there. Oof, that looks like a whoopsie.
It's okay.
In
It was your bias to Celestia.
in a way, yeah, I guess that's what we can say. Um, even just above there, 3 on Gilda, I'm pretty sure is wrong as well. There was a wee little bit. I think Roman had a deck with it, like way at the start in a Coco. But that's not enough to get above a 1. So obviously,
No,
um,
Smolder was a 1.
yep, we were bullish on hats again with Coco. That didn't pan out. Um,
There's Raising Roseluck. Roseluck.
that's
Daisy Lily and Roseluck.
yeah, that's the dismiss a friend dismiss a friend when it gets exhausted.
What did we give to Royal Family? I'm also curious.
I gave it a 4.
Oh, you gave
You
it a
gave it a
4, I
2.
gave it a 10. Wow.
Yeah,
I think you were right.
I think I was right as well.
Nice.
Let's see. Just try to pick out a few more. Oh, yeah, I had
But did
4s.
Daisy Lily and Rose actually see like we all gave it a 5
Yeah,
across the board?
yeah. It
I
was
don't think.
in it was in Bugle's orange pink, and that was it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I've never seen that card. I think by a margin, this card is probably the most overrated one because we all 3 of us gave it a 5,
Yep.
and it's actually a 1.
Not a 1. Like a
1.2.
2. Like
Okay, fine.
he
It's 2.
did play it in tournaments and he did do okay with it. It can't be a 1. but
Sure.
2.
But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely the most overrated one here.
Probably yes. Yeah. Frankly, I think in the future I'm going to try to not be so easily swayed by whatever deck Bugle is experimenting with
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the
I
start of
remember
the
when
meta.
we were like rating the cards and like talking about them. You're saying like oh, I know Bugle built a deck with it. But I mean, uh, I think it's a like when you know a little bit of what people are experimenting with,
hmm
that can give you like a lot of insight into what cards are going to be good and what cards aren't. And it's just this one is the most striking example of the opposite. But in other cases,
Yeah, rightly so. I had sent 4s to orange purple, which didn't exist.
yeah,
Unfortunate misses in general. So Flutterbat there is one that goes back to for the third time. Like I'm pretty sure I gave that a 3 because I was like, oh, this goes so perfectly in Thorax Orange, or at least felt like it would at 2 cost and all that. But didn't clearly.
Discord, I think, is somewhat a fair rating. I don't think it's a 5.
It's not a 5,
It's between 3 and 4, closer to 4, I would say. Display
probably.
and chaos control.
Yeah, it was in Chaos Control. Was it in Alicorns? I think it
Uh,
was. It probably wasn't. Find that. That was in Continentals. No, it wasn't. I'm
no.
stupid.
Mar is a dragon.
Yeah,
Why is it a 4? It's purple. How did we
it's
give it a 4?
yeah. No, no, no. Oh, yeah. You gave it a 4.
Yeah.
Like it.
How did we give it a 4? That's all right.
I think it's. Let me look it up again. Yeah,
Harmony Dragon. When was the last time you've seen a Harmony Dragon?
the color.
Didn't face off at least one of your dragon characters if you have more power?
Right. I feel like I might have like tested or experimented with that, and it's like, yo, orange, purple, dragon control. This looks like it might actually be a thing or something. I don't know.
That was the hope.
I feel like that must have been it. Does that
Yeah, I
give
mean, you have like Spike and other things.
Spike,
Orange
Mar,
purple is
Garble
such a fun.
all there?
Yeah, orange purple is such a fun combination. Well, it'll be 4 in my heart.
Yeah. Plurite is probably on the high side of 3 being used in the Alicorn deck as removal for the most part.
Yep.
Or maybe middle of 3. We talked about Royal Family. Yellow purple is only like I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who ever ran yellow purple in this meta. So it's like a 2 or a 1 if you don't count me. And
Yeah.
I apparently had some big belief in white yellow changelings. Again, they work in adventure apparently, but not in core.
Yeah. I think looking at the Garble rating as well, given that it's also an orange purple dragon, yeah, perhaps we had high hopes into purple orange dragons. Maybe that's why we gave a Spike a 4,
I,
now
it,
that
I
I think about
I
it.
mean that seems to be the correlation.
Like we just really like dragons set.
It's always a good time to like dragons.
Yeah?
You just have to be prepared to consequences sometimes.
It's kind of similar to hats.
Yeah, yeah. In the no color friends, I had a glimmer of hope for Chrysalis. It didn't pan out. Ones across the
Oh,
board. You were right.
Events.
Events. But so let me see here. So
Oh, beat the rush. It's
mhm,
not a 4, right?
it's not a 4. I was surprised. I
Yeah.
like. There's so many blue decks. I looked around. I couldn't find any blue decks that actually used it. Um.
Nope.
So
I
yeah.
guess blue decks have enough way to move stuff.
These days, yeah. I guess so.
I think if you would introduce this card like during Marks and Time meta, oh, it would go so fast into any blue deck
Hmm.
because it's like there was like a similar card, right? That's also moves up to 2 of your characters, I think, with its main phase, and
Boy.
that actually did see play from what I know.
So wait, that was like
Sledding something,
extreme sledding. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um. And yeah, this is just a better form of that for sure. Um. Let's see. Becoming popular is a 1. It's white. 2 purple. Uh.
Focused attention, a 4.
Or
Wow.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was in like the Gallus deck used it.
yeah, we have seen it,
Oh yeah.
but I don't think it's a 4. I think it's a 3.
I think that is arguable.
Sure. Let down hard.
It's a staple of Reanimator.
Yeah,
Again, I guess maybe on the border. I don't know. It's pretty core to the way the Reanimator works. So I think it's probably got to be a 4.
did we see Light of the Cutie Mark? I don't remember.
Yeah, so that's the blue song, right?
Yeah, that's the blue song.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's been around. Does Cadence run it? I always come back to Cadence. I think Cadence run it. On the early, okay, I should go back to the early days. To the early days, because I know, yeah. So it was in the early builds of Blue Pink Farm. So yeah, Cadence has never ran it.
Oh, hey, I see an easy card. That's well, I guess not for core, but I look at that free on tranquility and it's like, eh. uh, I mean, I guess in core it might be actually free.
It it
It must be at least the same or more as Flurry, right?
yes, yeah. I mean it's Tranquility. I think by definition has the same rating as the highest purple card.
Yeah. Well, I gave a bunch of events free,
Yep.
so many of them. I was really believing in these events.
Hmm. Um, Smile, smile, smile. Admittedly, I think is a 4. I give it a 5, but it's probably not that high. It was in it's been in Cadence. It was in Chaos Control. It was in. Oh, go back to my list again. Was it in the farm deck? Expensive for the farm deck, maybe. No, it wasn't in the farm deck.
Was costume change used? I think it
Not.
was. No, not in Chaos Control.
Oh, Chaos Control. I
I
didn't
mean, it's a white card, so probably not. But
see. No, I don't see it here.
okay, sad.
Um, I guess I'll just quickly point out eyebrow raise is correct. that was in Orange Farm. Um, Wrath of Gilda is definitely a 5.
Mm-hmm. 4.
Well, yeah, you have too high definitions for a 5. That card
Yeah, 5 is like,
absolutely defined the metagame in the early part of this year, I would say.
yeah, sure. Could be 5. But, I mean, I did overrate a lot of defense here.
That is fair. Yeah. Okay, I think those are all the standouts. Wait, what did I give? Humble Meal? Humble Meal's tough. Because it's used a little bit. Like the slower orange decks.
Is it on the spreadsheet? I don't see it.
Well, it's Princess Combo Meal. Full name of the card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think you were probably right. Wait a second. Did Chaos Control use it?
I mean,
No, it didn't. Yeah. Probably right.
but we definitely did see that card a little bit.
You got it right? You have that memory too of it being played.
Yeah.
Oh wait, did Orange Farm use it maybe?
Yeah, that's, I think, something used it, that's for sure.
Well, not Feathers' list. Was there any more Orange Farm ever?
A J control, says Grand Pose.
Sorry.
But that was an adventure, so.
Shock Troops. Okay.
I wish we had like infinite time so we could have ratings for both core and adventure. Because adventure is a very popular format.
It is. Yeah. I mean, we can do that in another stream.
So our review streams would last 16 hours instead of 8.
There a limit these days on YouTube video length?
I don't think so.
Okay, then I guess that's fine. Yeah.
24-hour stream challenge.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's when you start getting into like fundraiser territory. Okay. So moving on to events.
Resources.
That's right. Right. So yeah, I remember this was one of the other ones. I looked a lot for the because I remember Big Bad's being played by somebody. Maybe that was an adventure too. But
Yeah, I remember that too.
I don't know which deck it was. It wasn't the farm deck. I know I checked Cadence and it doesn't make any sense for Cadence to play that card anyway. Um, and I know it wasn't Gallus Control. Oh, it might have been Unipink. Yeah, good call. Thank you. Applause. Well, not in that build of Unipink.
I do remember seeing it somewhere, so.
Let's see. The BabsCon list, perhaps? No. Huh. Well, okay. Not the Unipink that was ever played at a tournament, I'm afraid.
Well, not a free.
Yeah, I guess so.
What about the Scepter?
Not a 5.
Another 5.
Yeah. I think largely because this was an aggro meta for the most part.
Yeah.
It's Bloodstone Scepter is stands to be much better in a um sort of slower meta, but everything was largely 2-color decks these days. And like, well, the Alicorn deck gets its colors from the fact that you get a bunch of Alicorns into play. Did Chaos Control run Bloodstone? I don't think it did.
I don't remember it.
Everfree. It did not. Yeah.
So Golden Horseshoe is another interesting one.
Golden Horseshoe was in. I know it was played. I remember looking at it this morning and seeing some decks with it.
Which would make it a 2.
Well, it depends on where those decks finished. If it was played by a deck that like won a tournament or something, then it's a 3. Oh shoot. Oh, I better be able to find it now. Was it? Nope. Oh my goodness. I thought for sure I saw it somewhere.
But I mean, the fact that none of the current blue decks, which there are a lot of, run this card is kind of an indication of sorts, you know?
Golden Horseshoe is what we're talking about, Grandpa's. And rip me. I don't know what I can't find it now. But yeah. Sure, I looked at one of the Thorax Blues. Thorax Blue was from OnlineCon 14. Oh, there it is. Yes. Yeah, let me just quickly make sure. Yes. Yes. Thorax Blue, the deck that took both first and second in OnlineCon 14, was using Golden Horseshoe. So,
I would still say it's a 2.
I
It's
mean,
like one deck out of so many blue decks.
one deck that got 1-2 in a pretty well-attended tournament.
Like other blue decks don't get 1 and 2 in the pretty well attended tournaments.
Fair point. Still, like 2 is kind of we shouldn't.
It's like 2.5.
Sure.
But not a 4.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, not a 4, clearly.
So there's one card here I see is I gave it a 2. It's Summoning Bell. But
mhm.
we did see that card several times, right? But
Did we?
that might have been an adventure, I think, right?
I don't remember seeing a whole lot of it.
Oh, I remember seeing it. Are you sure we didn't see? Another fun one is Magic Overload. That's
Yeah,
purple.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Again,
Should have done.
I think it would think it was just it was. I mean, Magic Overload is a fine card, and Thorax Purple was a thing in the year before that, and still
Yeah.
was in this year.
Yeah.
We all had infiltration orders at a 2. It got banned. That's one of those weird edge cases.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, yeah, I don't know where I was going. Never mind.
So if you apply the rubric that banned cards are always 5s, then I guess it was a 5.
Except like combo pieces. Combo pieces are you can't really account for them in the rating because you never know what card will become a combo piece.
Yeah, it's well, unless you find the combo yourself.
Yeah. But like it's kind of a roulette of sorts, you know, which card ends up being a combo piece.
To some extent, yeah.
So I think like if a card gets banned or is good because there was a combo around that card, it's fair to miss a rating on that. You know.
Do you think Snack Stand deserves a 4? it definitely has seen play in a lot of in a lot of different
Yeah,
places.
but no. Grandpa calls me out on my very consistent opinions. Well, at least one of my opinions is always consistent.
It's a fair point. I didn't even mention it. We skip right over it
Yep,
because we were all I think we were actually all right about that card.
in a way. So there was another card here. Oh, maybe there wasn't. Maybe we already talked about it. Never mind.
Okay. Quickly on to troublemakers, of which there's only two that we really care about, that being Sirens and Maniac. Uh, those are the only two that saw any amount of play.
Yeah.
I think we got the numbers backwards, probably. Sirens, to the extent that there was ever control around, and there was at the start of the meta, Sirens was always there. Maniac was a more kind of only sometimes card.
Yeah.
Um,
Although I don't think Sirens would be a 4. Well, like hmm,
it like
there wasn't much control recently. That's
I mean, sure, not recently, but for like a 3 month period.
yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, cast your mind back to I think it was cast your mind back to BabsCon. We have control farm control top three.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, problems. Do. Now, the problem of the set was obviously Final Question, but that was from not from this set.
So the final question is actually a card that I would say is like a 5. It's just a little tangent here about what I think is a 5.
Yeah.
And I think final question is definitely a card that like defines meta.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. And I mean that. Okay. Okay. So there is a threshold.
Yeah. The final question test.
I suppose so. Yes. Um. Yeah, we were really hopeful for purple. That is surprising. Alternative solution. I know I've seen it, but that was probably an adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a shame. I
You
think
seen method overreacting, I think. I
yeah.
remember yeah, I remember
It's
seeing that card, but I gave it a 2.
it's been around. I think these problems are so hard. So wait a second. Method overacting is the one that's not yellow,
Not
right?
yellow, yes.
Yeah. So you gotta look in all the decks that aren't yellow. Well, there weren't that many of those this meta.
I remember when yellow was the weakest color. Good times. Not
Yeah,
for the
okay.
yellow players.
I see it in Chaos Control. Probably would be in all the sort of slowish decks now that I think about it. That'd be the place to maybe look for it. Oh, it wasn't in Chaos Control. It was in Unit Control. It was in the farm decks. So, yeah. 3 is maybe even a little bit conservative. Nah, 3's probably right.
I get playtimes over a 3, but I think it didn't even see play in farm. I think it's a 1 rate.
Yeah, because farm was always Solano main.
Yeah,
So I
which
think,
doesn't need that problem.
yeah, I think that's right. Um, Rookie Mistake is the not blue one, right?
Yep. I don't think we've seen it.
Not a whole lot. Can be hard. Problems that don't often show up in the game anyway. It certainly doesn't stand out in my mind as one that played a whole
Yeah.
lot.
Tagging out
Yeah,
for.
you had taken out a 4, yes.
I don't think we've. I think we've got ever so play, right?
That is the orange.
Yeah, orange plus not orange.
Orange plus not orange. Okay. Aren't that many
So
orange decks. Basically look at Orange Farm and that's it these
like
days.
none of them use power counters, so they didn't really need this problem.
Yeah. Let me go look at Bugle's deck here. Just to see. Here it is. He had some counters going on. But no, he didn't use it. He did use Stunning Expose, though.
Hmm.
So that's
Something?
not nothing, yes. I think to round it off, you're locked in here with me, is like it's in cadence, I know for sure. And I think pretty sure it was in, well, wait a second. Wouldn't make any sense for it to be in Gallus. I know I saw it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've seen it a couple of times. It's not a
maybe
4,
not a 4, but like 3 for sure. Yeah,
3 or 2,
yeah.
So do you want to move on to the URs?
I think we have good things to talk about there.
I think my rating 4 for Rutherford was affected by you convincing me because I remember I gave most of them a 1 or a 2.
Interesting. So
But the did
Rutherford,
see play, right? I
it,
think
it
we saw him.
yes, it was one of Pancake's cards, and admittedly,
Hmm.
he soured on him toward the end. He Pancake soured on Rutherford toward the end of the meta, and he's stopped. Well, I don't know if he's actually stopped using it, but yeah. So it depends how much weight you want to give to Blue Farm.
Yeah.
I think Pages may have been correct with the 3, actually.
Yeah.
Um, Tempest Shadow is the card again that was influenced by Bugle.
Hmm.
It was in Shock Troops, and yeah, like it
Rip.
it it it, it you know. I can certainly imagine looking at that and say, oh, this it sure looks great in this deck, and the card has got so much value anyway. I'm sure somebody else will find something to do with it. So but
Yep.
no. Minuet, I was like, it was the kind of card that again I looked and I looked and I looked and like I'm sure somebody ran this. It must have been in Adventure though, actually, because I can't find that many core decks that actually used Adventure.
Yeah, I remember seeing it, but must have been Adventure.
Yeah,
I think Minuet is also one of the cards that I gave a 2, but then you kind of convinced me into a 3.
could have been. Yeah. Uh, you were right about Tandibus.
Yeah.
It was in Chaos Control, but I believe always sideboarded out and never actually was played. In that tournament. So, yep.
Fluttershy is also not the card we see at all.
Mm-hmm. Gallison Silverstream.
So in Adventure, Gallus' Silverstream is a solid 4, right?
Yes.
But in Core, I don't think that applies as much.
Okay.
I think it's like a 2 in Core, maybe a
A
3.
2. Like right now for sure, but
Yeah, maybe I'm too biased because of right
yeah.
now, but yeah.
I go back to Gallus Control again, and this card like was a natural inclusion. I believe it is still in Cadence. It was in, well, okay. Let me check if it was in Blue Pink Farm. It might not be. Well, okay, one copy
No.
in the Blue Pink farm list. What about Ivory's Blue Pink farm list? 3 copies there. Yeah, okay. So it was.
Her.
Yeah, I think it is a 4 due to its prevalence in the early days.
Yeah.
So
Vapor Trail?
now Vapor Trail. Vapor Trail is interesting because it is a current card.
Yeah.
I think it is the high side of 4.
Yeah. It's not a 2. I can
It's
tell you that much.
Yep. And it's one of those cards, just like everything in that Fluttershy blue deck. Like, try to pick the 5 out of that deck, right? Maybe it's Final Question. Maybe it's Fluttershy herself. Maybe it's probably not Vapor Trail, but there are a lot of cards to pick from.
I mean, a lot of force add up to a 5.
That's true. If you can build a deck that's all 4s, your deck might be a 5.
And if you build a deck that's out of 5s, you get a deck that's 6.
Probably. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say about Vapor Trail. But it is she has an easy time because it is the current colors.
Mhm.
And have been for a while now. Which I guess why we should have gave it a high. Well, I should have gave it a high rating because it's blue yellow. Of course, it's gonna be good.
Blue Yellow, yeah. It definitely has some pedigree at this point, for sure.
It's like the opposite thing of hats, right?
Right. Yeah. Just always believe in Blue Yellow.
Yeah, and like you're gonna only be wrong once. So Diamond Tiara, I think, is an interesting one. I gave it a
Mhm.
1, but I think we did see it.
It was
Right?
it, it was in Bugle's deck.
Chestnut Beagle's deck?
I think so.
Oh,
Right.
well, it's
That was
still
the only
maybe not a
real
1. Yeah.
orange pink. Well, so wait, sorry, I forgot. Chaos Control was orange pink, but I don't think it had any reason to play. Yara. Yeah, no,
I don't think there's anything that takes control of friends there, so yeah.
yeah. So yeah.
So Pages was right. Well,
Uh,
no, actually, no.
Pages was
It's
closer than either of us. Well,
I guess, yeah.
yeah.
Rarity and Trenderhoof?
I know this card was played. Maybe it was.
Was
This
it?
was in Bugle's deck too, wasn't it?
I guess, yeah, it could have been.
I feel like Bugle was the guy who was talking about, oh yeah, that card, great early game play or something. Oh no, maybe not.
Haha, you gave a purple card a free. Haha.
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking about closed loop. Yes.
Yeah. Was this card in Adventure? I don't think it was. I remember seeing a deck with it, weirdly.
Well, so it was in one. What is it? It's in the Invitational, one of Grand Pause's decks.
Oh, yeah, it might
It's
have
in his
been.
Celestial list. Yes.
Yeah.
One
That
copy.
makes sense. Yeah.
So far, never played.
Rip.
Yeah.
So does this mean the card never saw play, or?
Well, so technically, there's one match left to play still.
Yeah, that's true.
Tune in tonight.
But like, otherwise, like without considering the match that might or might not have this card.
Yeah.
Would this consider to be played or not? It's kind of a if a tree falls in the forest, but nobody is
Yeah,
here.
like so I still haven't figured out what like how the invitational is gonna matter. Like in the past, I've just ignored it because it's not technically core, right? Um, but this year it kind of was
Yeah,
core.
it's kind of it is both at the same time. It's invitational is interesting, yeah, because most of the tournaments are just like within one format, but this one is like two in parallel.
Hmm.
So standings, like standings of a player, could be affected by either their core decks or adventure decks or both.
Yeah, yeah,
It's it's really hard to account for, which is really interesting. I really like that like Invitational use this unique format.
yeah, yeah. Well, kind of what I shoot for. So yeah, quickly close this off. Speaking of, right,
Zipper well.
Zipperwill only used in Pugel's joke deck for the Invitational. I shouldn't call it a joke deck. It was he played it. He used it a couple times. It looked effective. So is that enough to get a card up above a 1 to a 2? Eh,
Probably. I don't know.
I'm
1.5?
it's I don't know. Yeah, I guess 1.5. And then Saddle Row. Not a 5. Clearly not a 5.
No. But GP used it really well in Invitational, right?
Yes. Yes, he has. And it did see some experimentation a little bit early-ish in the set as well.
Yeah. I think 3 is a fair rating for it. I agree with my rating.
Well, yes. Of course you think 3 is a fair rating for you. That's your number. Um,
Well, I don't always agree with my numbers.
it's true. I think you're right. I think you're right. And then last but not least, Nightmare Moon. Was in the farm decks for sure. I actually
Yeah.
looked in the control decks and it wasn't often there. So I think 3 is correct.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So, well, that's the whole thing. We don't have, yeah. If I'd done the math, you would have the numbers of how many points were missed by each of us. Excuse me.
I honestly think it wasn't too bad. I think we had some high beliefs in some things,
Hmm.
like dragons.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I'd love to, and well, yeah, I'd love to go back in time and see exactly what we were thinking about.
Spike, yeah. But I think it's the dragons.
Yeah,
I think the dots are connected. It's a dragon, gets power, face-offs.
I mean, you say that, but like, I certainly remember that the meme for that stream was, "But it's a griffin," right? Um,
Well, the meme for the next stream will be, but it's a dragon.
I guess so. Yeah.
I think like my most difference in points in the events, I gave a lot of points to a lot of events. Very
Yeah.
optimistic on them. And
Well,
yeah, I think Daisy and Lily was the most overrated
oh,
card.
well, yeah, by far. Um, yeah, and I like
Five across the board. Wow.
vibes across the board. Yeah, we'll have to ask. Well, you're going to be at Vancouver. Yes, you're going to have to ask Pages.
Yeah,
Why the 5 for Daisy, Lily, and Rose? Like
it's a good card.
it is. So speaking of, I guess since we're into kind of the post content area at the moment, you'll be at Vancouver. I will not be.
Rip.
Yeah,
We will never meet.
unfortunately, yeah. See, Hiftar's going to be there. So as soon as I found out about that, I had to cancel my
Yeah,
bookings.
it's a thing we have. We never ever meet.
Mhm. But I hope you enjoy it. As far as I know, it's going to be an adventure tournament. And
Yep.
probably I don't know if Pages is going to have his cube, but if he does, probably that as well.
Yeah, pretty sure there's Venture and Cube.
So
I've
yeah,
got my deck. Gonna play my deck.
best of luck to you.
It's not a very good deck, but I really like it. So.
Yeah. And so in 2 weeks' time, that'll be 21st. We will have results from Vancouver to talk about.
Yeah.
That's going to be our next stream, probably.
Yeah. Gonna see me in the last place. No, this will be the second ever NA tournament I'm in.
That's true. Was it
It was Continentals 2019.
Everfree? Yeah.
No, Cyberfest.
Right. Yes. I forget that it moves around.
Yeah. I ended up as top 16. That was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would be surprised if you were
In top 16, my first opponent was the winner of the tournament. So that was rough. And the Lyra deck is really harsh against my deck.
Right.
Blue, white.
Yeah. Okay, well, anyway. Yeah, that is it for this year. I think if I can find the time for it, I will still run the numbers and maybe put something up on Reddit of the exact state that we were in for the end of the set, but that's it for fond memories. Wave it goodbye. It's prize wheel time now.
Yeah. So this
Overall,
prize wheel iteration 1, how are we gonna do, like, if there are more iterations over the years, do we like combine all of them? Do we review like for each? How do we do the retrospective?
I think that's something that's probably best answered once we know a bit more about what the extra prize wheel iterations are going to mean.
Right? Yeah, fair enough.
To what extent are they separate sets or given package? Yeah. So I think we'll see about that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yes, yeah. So like, what was your general sentiment on Pawn Memories?
I think the beginning was really good. We had like a lot of really cool decks, but I guess that kind of comes with like a new set release. People try a bunch of stuff, but that's kind of unfortunate that it all came down to blue yellow again.
Yeah, it just kind of exploded onto the scene on Continentals and yeah, has not relinquished the spotlight since then.
Yep.
I am sorry. I'll let you finish your thought.
Go ahead.
No. Finish your.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that I think Adventure looks a little bit more interesting, although there's a lot of blue there too.
Fair enough. Yeah. I will say that I think the tide is turning a little bit for purple. Like as mentioned, Grandpa's Celestialist looks very good, and as I understand it, Prize Wheel helped it out a bit, and there's some help coming. I hope that we're in kind of the spot the yellow was in, right as we came through Defenders and into Sequestria, where people are realizing that it's good and it's going to turn around. I hope that we don't end up with like a couple years of purple being ridiculous.
Oh, I don't agree with you. I do hope.
I mean, careful what you wish for. That's all I'll say.
Oh, don't worry. I will not regret my words ever.
But yeah, I think broadly you're right that like yeah, the first half of 2022 with Fond Memories was really great. There was a whole lot of different stuff going on. realistically, going into Continentals, nobody knew what was going to happen, which was great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that wraps us up for today. Thank you to everybody for coming out and chatting and listening. We already mentioned it earlier in the stream, but tonight, after a bit of a delay, we finally are going to have the second match, the second grand final match of the Invitational, Grandpa's versus Big Cheese. And this time it's winner take all. And the two of them are going to be present to provide insight, which, frankly speaking, I'm thankful for. There's some kind of complicated stuff happens in that game that I
Ooh.
will appreciate having them on to talk about.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So that starts at 6 p.m. Pacific time or 9 p.m. Eastern time, right here. So we'll hopefully see you then. Otherwise, we shall be back 2 weeks from now talking about Vancouver. Until then, I have been Cursor Chords.
I've been Hiprock.
And we'll see you then.
Bye.